And welcome back to another episode of Jason's Game Room, the only podcast here on YouTube that talks about everything gaming, from board games to dice games to video games to CCGs. Remember that episode I did about Pog? You loved that, didn't you? It was a great trip down memory lane, wasn't it? Of course it was. If it has anything at all to do in the world of gaming across all genres, it's going to be on this show, and you're going to want to keep tuning in to hear about what I'm talking about next. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was how we get our gaming fixes these days and how it's changed over the years. And I'm not just speaking to one genre of gaming. I'm putting it all in a giant melting pot on the stove today. And I'm going to explain and tell you stories about how I used to get my gaming fix and mediums I used to use. And I'm going to move along the timeline here and there and illustrate how things have changed in regards to some of these genres and what we do now to get our gaming fix. And I'm going to start with video games, mainly because, and you've heard me talk about this on other shows, about used game stores and how they were the thing. And that really was the best medium for a number of years. And I'm talking about just places like Microplay, independent game stores. Used to go to the Hawk Shop for games. There used to be all sorts of small independent shops that sold video games. Even some comic and card stores would do resale used games here and there if they had the chance and the demographic to make it work properly. And as time has passed in the video game genre, we've kind of moved away from video game stores as a whole, with the exception of some of the retro stores, as well as, and I hate to mention this, EB Games or GameStop, which in my opinion have gone downhill too far. I don't even bother with EB Games or GameStop anymore. I had enough of them a while ago, and I'm not going to rant about that here because I've talked about it on another show, but one of the things that I've been doing in the last few years, and this is not very often because I'm not a rich person, I can't just spend on games whenever I feel like it, and of course I still have only up to the PS3 because I don't have the money to go into other game systems, nor do I really want to. So sometimes it costs me a few bucks that rare time I do want to get a game. But what I've been doing is I've been splitting my time in terms of searching for video games, either going to a local pawn shop that I kept forgetting was there on the corner of a couple streets, who sells PS3 games and Xbox 360 games for $2.50. He'll give you two for $5, no tax. And I've actually found some good finds there if I spend a few minutes sifting through them. I don't mind doing that. The other thing that I've been doing, and this is a bit of a bitch because the prices are still a little too high for digital copies, but occasionally I will go on to the the PlayStation Store through my PS3 and buy the odd game on there. Now, it could be a $5 game in a clearance section or a deal, or I look for a specific game. So the last game that I've bought on the PlayStation Store was Lego Jurassic World. I was having trouble finding a copy in local stores and finding a copy on eBay that had cheap shipping, and they had it for, I think it was $19.99 on the PlayStation Store, so I just bought it. I'm like, $20, I don't have to spend fuel to go anywhere. You know, it made sense. We've really moved away from gaming stores to a certain extent, and we do a lot of digital purposes, even though there are people that still go line up at GameStop or even go to places like Walmart and other outlets that sell video games as a secondary, Best Buy, things like that, Radio Shack. I'm sorry, The Source, because I'm old school and I still call it Radio Shack. Now, I'm going to move into the CCGs because, as you know, CCGs were a huge thing for me, especially in the 90s and through the early 2000s. And the first place I ever bought a box of CCG, and this was a 60-card starter deck, it was a small place called Beaver Comics, where I live now because this is the second time I've lived here. And he was one of the few places in town at the time that was selling CCGs. You'd either go to him, or there was a store in the south end of town that didn't last very long. But Beaver Comics was an all-around great place run by a great guy. Had tons of cool comics, great prices. My CCG experience started there. Then a new store opened up in one of our malls in town. It was called Bayfield Collectibles. Now, he did a lot of not just collectibles for people in the teenage demographic, but older people. He had Royal Dalton, China. He got into home collectibles, He also did a small selection of comics, not as much as a comic store, and he did a lot of CCGs. He was the first to get in a lot of the new Magic expansions at the time, the Star Trek card game expansion, Star Wars. I believe he was doing Spellfire and X-Files at one point, but that became a very reliable shop. And I got to know the guy there. I did a class project on his store once because he's a very approachable guy that ran the store. You don't see a lot of nice guys that run cool stores anymore, which is unfortunate, or anybody for that matter. But he was a really cool guy. And I always went there because there used to be a small food court where he was at that end of the mall, maybe 2 stores of food. And he had a lot of tables set up, which incidentally was where tournaments were held when he would hold the Bayfield Collectibles tournaments. And I would buy the packages in the store and literally run over to the table in the main hallway of the mall there, rip them open and go through the cards on the table. And then sometimes if I had a buck or two left over, remember this was the 90s, I'd go back in and buy another cardboard card box to start sorting them all. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed that store. I was very sad when I heard that he had closed because he was, like I said, he was a cool guy. You don't meet a lot of cool guys running stores that actually take the time to talk to you and ask you about your hobby. And sometimes he would actually hold a couple packs for me because he knew I was coming in there often. You know, I miss that store. I miss Beaver Comics. I miss the old mediums we used to have to go get our gaming fix. And when you move into other genres like dice and miniatures, we have a rather large store in that same mall who's actually moved a couple times in that mall. I'm not plugging by any means, but the store is called Sir Games Lot, and this is another cool guy that runs the store. Very approachable, nice guy. I've bought a lot of my dice there. He has a huge selection of collectibles and board games. I haven't bought a board game there yet because his prices for board games are a little high, but it's to be understood that it's a specialty store. And this leads me into saying that while I do like to go there the odd time to look at stuff and buy my dice, I still go to Toys R Us when I have a board game that I wish to buy. That's not very often, but when I bought my newer Risk board, I went to Toys R Us because they had a few different versions of the Risk board at a decent price. It only cost me $25 for my Risk board, plus tax. That was great. A lot of places would sell it for $30 or more. And it has all the little pieces in the different colors and everything. The little statuette pieces, it's great. I'm not someone that would ever go into a department store for a board game. I have seen board games at places, again, Walmart, and a cool little department store, discount store we have called Giant Tiger. They do have some cool stuff there, but I've always gone to Toys R Us for board games. And to a lesser extent, I have bought video games at Toys R Us. And I'm curious to know if any of you out there go to Toys R Us for anything like that. I know it might seem weird, you're a grown adult walking into a toy store, but believe it or not only do I buy board games, and I have gone in there for video games, but sometimes Toys R Us has the best sales on batteries. I know it has nothing to do with gaming, but I'm sorry. I go there for something gaming, the rare time, and they have batteries on sale. I scoop up a bunch. I'm getting off topic here, so let's get back to gaming. Toys R Us is a pretty cool place, and they do sell CCGs in certain packages there. They're not the best selection of CCGs, but if you need a quick pack and you happen to be standing next to the checkout aisle where they have them all hanging, grab one. Why not? I did that once. I bought a package of Magic there. The mediums that we were used to, and especially people in my age group, we've seen a fundamental shift to more specialized places that are chain stores. This is mainly annoying because I miss the mom and pop aspect, the independent aspect of the places we used to go, because you'd have a better connection with the store. When you go into a chain store, and I'm going to have to use EB Games because they're terrible for this. You go in there and yeah, they ask you if there's anything they can help you with. That's fine. That's part of their job. If you're in retail, and I was in retail a long time, you do that. You try to be helpful, but they don't answer your questions to the fullest extent that they could. If you're asking about a pre-order, that's one thing. But sometimes you ask them certain questions about games, and they'll give you a generic response, or they'll say, well, we don't do that anymore, or we don't have this. We've moved away from that. And when you try to ask them why, that you get the blank stare of doom, and I don't understand that. Like, as a customer, I'm not only shopping, but I'm also looking for information, and I appreciate other gaming stores I go into, like Sir Games a lot. I actually went in there just as the pandemic was starting to hit, and you could still walk in, no problem. And I was looking for something specific. He says, I don't have it, but if you go up the street to the next place, so-and-so store, to that gaming store, he's got it, and you can get it there. I appreciate that more than anything as a gaming medium, as having people that if they don't have it, they will tell you where to go. And when you go to the chains like GameStop or places like that, if they don't have it, they'll just shrug. And if I didn't already know about the retro gaming store in town, and not all of them will tell you about that, they won't. It's annoying because by providing the customer with information, even if he's not buying anything off you, that goes a long way to strengthening relations. But enough about consumer relations. We're talking about gaming mediums. And because, well, actually it is related. Because of some of the poor service in a lot of the chain stores, a lot of people, sometimes myself, as I mentioned, will go to an online store or download digital copies from somewhere to play that way, or even off the internet, say off of websites that compile digital copies of even older PC games or anything like that that can be downloaded. Because you don't have to talk to anyone. You just have to find the right website with the right content, providing it's not harmful, obviously. And you download and you get your game. In terms of, and I'm going back into CCGs and video games and anything else that you would buy in a store, there's also, I don't want to call it a big push, but over the years I've relied on eBay for my gaming fix. And I'm going to tell you why. You can find a lot on eBay, and you can get some good deals on there, especially if you're looking for single CCG cards or one certain game or anything like that. You can get it, and they will ship it to you. The shipping prices are a little wonky these days. That's what keeps me from buying video games on eBay when I am looking. And I have seen one right now with free shipping that I'm pondering, because the game itself is like $30 on the PlayStation Store, but it's only $13 on eBay with free shipping because it's in my province, which is fine. But when you're dealing with CCGs and smaller things, you'd think you'd get a break on shipping, and you'd be easier to find what you're looking for your gaming fix if you're building a deck or adding to your CCG collection. But you're getting ripped off on shipping horribly. And I don't understand. And I know I talked about this in a previous episode about gamers ripping off gamers, but why can't we all just help each other find what we're looking for? Why can't we use every medium available and make it the best experience it can be and get what we need? I know someone out there is going to say times have changed, things are moving differently now, it's not the same as it was in the 90s. True, but we can still be nice to people, and we can still patronize stores that give us that kind of good customer service that will refer us, and it snowballs. And not only does it give us our gaming fix, it gives them the money they need. People get recommended, other people become happy. It's a microcosm of a larger thing. And I think that's what we've gotten away from when shifting some gaming mediums to online or downloads, away from the way we used to do it, because the level of human interaction has dropped significantly. You see a lot of people nowadays, this is a little off topic, but you see a lot of people, the majority of people, just so plugged into their cell phones. What's up with that? Have we stopped talking to each other now? I'm confused. It's a very weird world we live in. And I miss the old days where you could just walk into your favorite gaming store, whether it be for CCGs, comics, video games, miniatures, whatever, and you could talk to the person behind the counter for a while, and they didn't care, because they knew that if they were giving you information or knowledge, or they would tell you something you didn't know, and that would keep you coming back to the store, and you enjoyed that experience. When I used to live in Toronto and around Toronto and visited the downtown core frequently, there were a lot of cool stores. One in particular, if you're from Toronto or Ontario or even anywhere in Canada, you should have heard of the Silver Snail. They're a great place to go. Mind you, the back issues for comics now are kind of cleaned out. Myself and a lot of other retro comic freaks and gamers, and they do have a lot of cool gaming stuff there too. But we need to get back to the awesome mediums, the cool stores with the cool guys. We want to have a destination, somewhere to go. I found a couple small stores in town here where I live that I don't mind going to. like I said, the Sir Games A Lot is a great place to go to, and there's another store I go for CCG accessories. The guy there's okay. He's pretty cool. It could be a little better. I'm not going to mention the name of the store, but it is a decent place. We need to get back to that. We need to go back to being one happy family of gamers that just want to talk to each other about gaming and enjoy everything like we used to. Digital is great. It has a place. eBay's fine. The PlayStation Store does its job for the most part. But humans got to be humans, right? What good is a medium to do what you love if you can't enjoy it? If you can't enjoy the process of being a gamer, no matter what genre you play in. That's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments on this, or if you want to tell me a little bit about your gaming experiences and your mediums over the years, please drop a comment below. I don't care if it's several paragraphs. I want to hear from you. And of course, game on.